Hello, everybody. It is day 33 of 365. Sorry, I paused because I realized I'm almost at 10% of the way there. Okay, sorry. Day 33 of 365 days of my raw suspending disbelief journey. It is May 25th, 2024. You guys, I'm like mastering the intros almost now, other than doing math in my head. Whatever. Um, so today was fascinating. My kids were here for most of the daytime hours, until like later in the afternoon. My mom came by to pick up my oldest so that I would have an actual kid-free day tomorrow. Um, it was just sort of an all over the place thing. So last night we stayed up late. My bad. Should have made the kids go to bed earlier. They were miserable today. So we had some conflict, some whining, some struggle today. And, we turned it around. The 3-year-old had a nap. The 6-year-old had some quiet time reading and, all of the things, and things got better. Um, there were a few standout things that I thought were really applicable to this podcast today. So, applicable to suspending disbelief and trusting in my inevitable success. So, the first one is, um, and just, take all of this with awareness that writing is my thing. And, um, so like my email open rates have always been fantastic, for based on average numbers. Um, I know people who do better and people who do worse, right? It's email open rates are such a tricky thing. Um, Mine are pretty high normally, usually sitting around the 40% mark for open rates. And I think the marker of what a good open rate is like 30. So just for perspective. Um, and I would also say that for perspective, you don't have to be hitting 30 to be doing okay. Okay, so anyways, what happened was I switched platforms. I am using an all-in-one white label, I think it's called, or something like that, Go High Level version. It's not actually Go High Level, but it's similar, for my newer version of my website, for my newer version of my blog, for my new sales pages, like all of that stuff. And it also has an emailer, and it has like all the things. So I've been figuring it out. It's, a little bit of a learning curve, not too bad because I've explored way too many different different platforms, because I think that's just what you do when you're when you're me. You try everything. But I'm really liking this one so far. And the only thing that made me super question switching was the emailer. Because when I first started, you guys, it was abysmal. So I had like a 3% open rate. Yeah. I was like, what the actual hell? What just happened? So looking at that, I was like, well, like, fuck this. I'm not going to stick with this platform. I'm not, all of this. And then I just went like, no, wait, I am going to suspend disbelief about this. I am going to give it some time, trust that I'm in, always in exactly the right place at the right time, and that my success is inevitable and all of the things. And I just kept on using it. And, I've switched between platforms before and had my open rates drop. I had never had such a drastic drop, I guess. So it was shocking, right? It was like, holy crap, what just happened? And I there was a little bit of like stuff coming up about like, oh, if I don't have good email open rates, then I'm not going to make good numbers of sales and this and that and the other thing. And it was just like, no, that's not my main selling platform anyways. Um, and I know a lot of people swear by it that it's like the best one, but even with great open rates and even like a decent click rate and all of that kind of stuff, it's just never been like my main sales spot. Anyway, I just decided, okay, no, I'm not gonna like double up and do it from two different platforms and annoy the crap out of the people that are opening it and all of that until it raises. I'm just gonna stick with this. And I did. And it has been um almost a month. Almost a month, yeah. I think the first one that I sent through there was um mid-April. Oh, so actually longer than a month. But I went from, like I said, it was like a 3%. It blew my mind. And you guys, part of it was I realized um that I used the wrong email. So if you have an email thing going and you didn't know this already, Google and other platforms have made it very, very difficult to be deliverable if you do not have your own sort of domain email. So I have um my one email, which is a Gmail address for my business. And then I have one, which is at heartbeatsharbor.com and at heartbeatsharbor.ca. And the first one that I sent, it turns out I accidentally used the at gmail.com address. What they want in order for your emails to be deliverable and not go into spam is for you to have a verified email address, which is like having your domain as part of the email address and stuff like that. Anyway, not to get too technical, but I did that with the first one. So realized my mistake eventually and resent that email out with the other email address that is verified and shows up in the right in like in the inbox. Um, and it did go up from there. And I wanted to report. So it has been sort of like a gradual and a little bit fluctuating number going from, then it went up to, I think it was like 9% when I resent that email. And then it has gradually gone up and then been fluctuating a little bit in between the 10 and 14% range for a little while. And then it went up to 15, 16% sort of around the end of April. And it just kind of has gradually been climbing. So I haven't been watching it super, super closely, but I have noticed it once or twice and been like, okay, it's improving. Like deep breaths, we're good. Suspending disbelief. And today I noticed that it was at 33.3%. And you guys, it's day 33 of this challenge for me. And my email open rate was 33.3%. So all the threes, more angel numbers, like I mentioned a few days ago, or, whether you call them angel numbers or synchronicities or whatever you want to call them. I love it. I love all of it. So definitely celebrating that today. Celebrating hitting a percentage that is considered good for open rates and looking forward to continuing to climb back into my regular open rates, which are even a little bit higher. So, loving that proof of my success being inevitable and the fact that no matter what platform I'm on, I'm always able to get back to where I was. So again, there's that mindset of, if you remember from way back at the beginning of this challenge, me talking about the episode with Catherine Zankina, which was, and honestly, I swear, I apologize if I'm butchering her name. But what she had said was, your worst case scenario is where you are right now. And that is so, so true, because once you have hit a certain level, you can always get back to it. Once you've done it once, you can always do it again. And That has been such an eye opener in so many different areas of my life. So this was just one more, right? It was just one more confirmation. I've been at 40% across the board on every platform. Yes, I've dropped every time I've switched platforms and then I've climbed back up. I'm just doing it again. It's exactly the same thing. I know how to get there. And so I do it, right? And so just so much proof, so much confirmation, which I love. And oh, the other thing that I wanted to share for today was um again sort of like tripping back to my quest with Alex the other day on Wednesday, which was I don't know, you guys, I don't know if I can find it. Um, oh wait, I have my calendar in front of me. So Wednesday was the 22nd. It was like my magic numbers day. So that was my angel numbers synchronicities day. But that was also the day that I had my quest with Alex. And one of the things that Alex had said in our session was that, and like towards the end of it, she passed along a message of that I would be doing something in a different way than I've ever done. And but it had to do with me being able to bring in abundance and all of this stuff, right? And it wasn't very specific, and so I hadn't focused on it majorly, but I remembered it being said. Anyways, today I realized what that thing is. I realized what the thing is that I am doing differently that is going to be such a game changer. And part of it I mentioned in yesterday's episode, in the day 31 episode, where I was talking about doing my taxes and all of that. But what it is this version of me who doesn't procrastinate, um, which is incredible. So, if you do not have ADHD, just for awareness, a very common thing with ADHDers is being very driven and motivated about 5 seconds before a due date. um, and okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's always like right before the deadline. All of a sudden, you get all the inspiration, all the motivation, and you just hammer it out. And we tell ourselves that we do our best work under pressure, right? Um, whether that's actually true or not, I don't know. But I do this for everything. I do this for, like I mentioned, my taxes would actually be after the due date before I would ever get onto them. And even then it was like pulling teeth, right? I had to have somebody trying to force me and I would even ignore that. And it just went on and on. When it comes to business, even things that I'm passionate about, say I have a training scheduled, I will very frequently wait until the day of, even like the hour before, to write up my notes for that training. And I will have like a very high level idea of what I'm going to be doing in that training prior to that point. I don't get into the details until right before. Um, and for the most part, it's been working for me. It's been okay. There have been times where I was like late going live because of something or whatever, where it doesn't serve me. It's not great. Right. And I know this and I'm aware of this. And so is pretty much every ADHD person ever who is aware of their ADHD and that this can happen. Um, but what I noticed today, so I had a live training to schedule in my business membership, which is I do like a monthly live training in there. And I was realizing, like, holy shit, it's almost the end of May. I haven't done a training this month. Things have just been crazy, like flying and doing so much on the album and whatever. I got a little bit sidetracked and I realized, like, holy, I need to get this scheduled. Um, Now, in the past, that would have looked like, hey, I need to get this scheduled. Now I've had that awareness put into my brain and I'm going to probably leave it until like, 3 days before. and schedule it for the same day and write it an hour before. And like, it feels very panicky, right? It's not actually panicky for me, but describing it, that feels very like intense. And it doesn't need to be like that. Anyway, today I had the awareness pop up. I immediately came up with a topic, created the live event, the event in my Facebook group for the membership, sat down to like just write down the things that had been the ideas that had come to mind as I thought of the topic for my notes so that I'd be able to write them later. And what ended up happening was I wrote down all my notes for the entire training and I am prepped, ready to go as if it was right then and there. And finishing doing that, I sat there and I stared at my screen and I was like, what just happened? This training is not for a couple more days. Like, how did I just do that? And I was seriously so baffled, you guys. It sounds really laughable, but I'm really hoping that since most of my audience tends to be neurodiverse, you guys will understand a little bit about how like shocking this was to me to be like, wait a second, I just did this ahead of time. I just did it like in the moment when I thought of it. I didn't put it off. I didn't push it to later and work on something that was more urgent or another fire that I needed to put out. Um it sounds so funny. I know it sounds so funny. But it just really floored me. So I sat there and I stared at my screen for a little while. And then I messaged Alex and was like, holy shit, you'll never believe. I figured out what the thing was that you mentioned that I was going to be doing differently from now on. And so then all of a sudden I started realizing, because I was like, okay, yeah, like the taxes thing, I was doing that ahead of time. They're not even actually officially due yet. And then I scheduled this training and I immediately scheduled it and I immediately wrote it or planned it out and like actually got it done. And so I was like, okay, this is a new way of being, a new way of doing things for me. That is like, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And then it started coming in over the last few days, all of these things that have been happening that I've been doing that really are very different from how I usually do things. And not to bash how I usually do things or to say that everyone needs to do it the way I'm doing it now or, anything like that. But it was things like I I knew when I moved into this place that I'm in that I was going to need to maintain the lawn. And I did know that was coming up. So I did end up getting that lawnmower, like I mentioned in a previous episode, and all of that stuff. However, previous Brianna would have procrastinated actually mowing, even though I had the mower, until the landlord probably messaged me and was like, hey, remember that it's your job to do this? And then I would have been like, oh, yeah, 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 and done it, right? Only once that pressure was on. But today, they have not messaged me, and today my lawn got mowed. I did part of it, my daughter did part of it, and it's done, and it's done early, and I didn't need to be nagged, and my mind is a little blown. And um and I'm laughing because if any of you who know me know, like I have accountability in most of my programs. And I pay for an accountability coach. I am terrible at keeping myself accountable. I'm great at keeping other people accountable. Um, anyway, so there was the lawn thing, there was the taxes thing, there was the training thing, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I actually cleaned up my kitchen and dining room, swept the floor, like all the things before my kids left today. Usually, usually I wait till they're gone, then I clean up because I'm always like, oh, there's they're going to make more crumbs. They're going to this, they're going to that. No, today I cleaned it before they were gone. And when I got back home from dropping my younger two off to their dad, I I kind of stood in my kitchen and I was like, wow, my kitchen's clean. Like, wait, what? I um I realized that I had been putting it off into time where I'm supposed to be able to have me time and work on my business without distraction and all of these things because my kids are gone. But instead, I always tend to leave it until they're gone. And then I spend at least a few hours cleaning up the kitchen, cleaning up the dining room, sweeping the floors, doing laundry, like whatever, all of this stuff, and not spending time on self-care, spending time working on my business, recording things that are really hard to do when the kids are around, etc. And like right when I got home, I was like, wow, oh, that's done. And I didn't really like it wasn't associated with this whole train of thought yet. It was later when I had written the business training that I was like, wait. I cleaned my house before the kids left. I just wrote this whole training. I did the taxes before. Oh my gosh, I mowed the lawn, right? And I started having all of these things come in, and I was like, who am I? Who am I? I have no idea who this person is. And it's funny how much we can end up identifying ourselves with the things that have become habits for us, that have become our norm, right? What we're comfortable with. And I had clearly become comfortable with being a very last minute person, just being like, I do things right before they have to be done. Um, and yet I've always considered myself productive. All of these things. But yeah. So today that was my other realization. I was a little bit mind blown by it, especially because, again, like just touting Alex's psychic amazingness and knowing that I was going to be going forward with a very different way of doing things. Um, so yeah, that was today. And I also had there one last thing, and I did share about it. I sent an email out about it. I've shared a post about it. I've pre-scheduled a post about it for tomorrow, rather. Um, but I saw somebody on Facebook, and I try to just keep my mouth shut about other people's posts, and I don't really respond to them. However, I had a human design for your business um, meeting call thing with one of the ladies I know online. And she had helped me to understand one of the most effective ways of doing business for me is to respond. So when I see a post on Facebook and then I write content based on my response to that post, or, whatever, not just necessarily a post on Facebook, but in any scenario, my human design, when I'm in alignment, is to respond. And so when I respond, my responses are very, very powerful. They're very effective. And anyway, so I saw this post today. Somebody talking about how they help their clients to know what their higher self looks like through AI. And I was like, excuse me. Just like I didn't say anything to their post. I definitely am not in the business of bashing certain people, naming names, dragging down other women, things like that. Like, no, that is not me. However, my main offer right now is my Wild Feminine Leaders Inner Circle, which is where we go meet your higher wild self and actually see her, know what she looks like, know what she does, know why she does it, get to know her inside and out and love her, and then, you know, integrate with her and put that into your business and all of these things. This offer was so similar in the one sense that this person was selling this to their clients and having their clients then embody quote unquote uh this higher version of themselves by putting it into their branding and everything, and it was getting their clients results, of course, because an AI image is almost always like this, what did I call it in the post, patriarchally perfect image, right? It's the slim, perfectly taken care of, airbrushed, like everything just looks perfect about the image. So they're basing their branding on this. This is what most people are looking for, is this perfect magazine billboard image, right? Um and also because this person's clients are then going to be showing up, if they are supposedly embodying their higher self, they're showing up with this confidence like, wow, yeah, that's my future self. That's my higher self. That's what I look like. Cool. I'm amazing. I'm awesome. I'm all these things. And they're showing up in this confidence that they normally don't. So, of course, their sales went up. Of course, they became more magnetic. Of course, of course, of course. But my issue here is that I don't find that very ethical because AI cannot tell you what your higher self looks like. um, and it was so funny because the blog post that I actually wrote today was um, about when and how I got to know my wild higher self, and how she was not what I expected, and that I had realized that my expectation, without realizing it, right? Without ever having consciously thought it through, was that my higher self would be like this perfect version of me who looked perfect, acted perfect, did all of the perfect things that I could never be. She was unattainable, just like the girl in the magazines, just like the girl on the billboards, just like this patriarchally perfect version of women that is such bullshit and creates so much pain and suffering for women when they're trying to achieve this impossibly perfect dream, right? Of the airbrushed model on a magazine who is starved, and they even took off more of her weight in the picture. You know what I mean? Like um it bothered me that I did not feel it was very ethical, because they're perpetuating that image, first of all. And I even, without realizing it, even me who will speak out against, like, I don't think that this is okay that people do this to women. Um, Even me, when I looked back and was like, what would I have expected her to look like? I would have expected my higher self to look like that, to look like an AI image, to look like a magazine model. And she does not. But I think she is gorgeous. I think that she is stunning and beautiful and all of those things, but she is not a magazine model. She is not this airbrushed being. And so it really rubbed me some kind of way, right? That they were selling this as like, oh, see what your higher self looks like. Anybody can just plug their picture into an AI generator and get an airbrushed, perfect looking picture of themselves. If we want to call that our higher selves, go for it. And yep, you might make more money if you embody that and if you put it into your branding. You might. I don't think it's going to bring in a ton, just because people are starting to be aware that, like, people don't look like that. But anyways, I was so proud of myself for, like, taking it, flipping it, not getting angry, not ranting on about this person, not bashing them in their business, like, whatever. They are making money how they make money, and they're going to do what they're going to do. For me, it feels unethical. And yet I was so fascinated and intrigued by the fact that we had the same idea, that we are helping our clients to see what their higher self looks like. So, and get, like, for me, I'm adding in the get to know her and how she is, who she is, all of that, the inside of her, not just the outside. But the idea that you can then embody that and bring it into your branding, bring it into your personal aesthetic, bring it into all of it, and have that newer, more confident, more magnetic way of showing up. It's almost the same offer. Mine is more authentic. Mine is more like real and nitty gritty, and it's going to take a little bit more work, right? And all of those things. But I was so fascinated to see somebody doing basically the same concept, just in an AI generated way, right? And um, again, not trying to bash somebody's offers, just um, it really, really lit a fire in me again about my offer, about how fantastic it is and how authentic it is and how powerful it is because it's real. And um yeah, I just find that to just be more confirmation, more proof, right? More proof of my inevitable success. Because I do believe that people want authenticity, that they want what's real. That is the only reason why this podcast, this Suspending Disbelief Challenge, has taken off and turned into a movement, because it is real, it is raw, and it is not an airbrushed magazine model. And yeah, this is just how I do life. This is how I do business. This is how I show up in the world. And this is what my offer is also. And it just had me so proud of my offer, right? So, like, yeah, I am in such alignment. I feel amazing about it. I'm so happy with it, all the things. And everything just feels amazing. Everything feels so amazing. And again, I choose to feel what I want to create, right? So, I'm feeling amazing, and what I'm creating is amazing, and I'm super excited about it, and I'm excited to share all of it with you guys. So, um, I will I will include the link to book a call with me if you feel like the Wild Feminine Leaders Inner Circle is something that might be aligned with you. If you want to find out your authentic higher self, if you want to get to know her and integrate with her and be able to embody that higher version of yourself, this is where you want to be. And if you don't want to put in the work, you can always go and AI generate your higher self. And I am holding back the laughter. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to mock. I just am so blown away. Okay. That is day 33. And I've just looked and I'm at 33 minutes and change. So I am going to end this here. Um, Thank you. Thank you for everybody who is listening and who keeps listening and who is joining me in this movement. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.